I bet you're wondering, how do you get fear-based survival mode into surrendering to the present moment? How do you do it? Most people have this constant living in stress and always living in the past, and they're just wondering, how do I turn my brain off? First of all, you can't turn your brain off, but you can change how your brain works. I'm going to show you based on sexual energy. Now, the concept that we have is called orgasmic power. What is orgasmic power? Orgasmic power literally is a state of coherence in your breath, your fascia, your organs, your hormones, and therefore you properly read how you feel based on interoception. And metacognition, which is thinking about what you've been thinking about. Once you understand how to fix this loop, you then can enhance your 7 chakras, which is your root, sacral, crown, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Which, if you don't know what those actually are, they're organs and glands, particular glands that work throughout your body to serve your body. At the root, your colon, your pelvic floor, your legs, your adrenals, your fascia lines. The reason why the root is at the legs is because at the ankles and at the knees, you also have your root chakra that begins there. So there's 9 energy centers, but 7 chakras. Your root has 3 by itself. At the sacral, that area covers your bladder, women, ovaries, men, testes, your hips, your lower gut. Solar plexus, you'll have your liver, gallbladder, stomach, diaphragm, pancreas. See, you hear people say root, sacral, I have to fix my heart chakra, my third eye. We're talking about organs, actual glands that have a function inside your human body. Your heart, at the heart chakra is going to be your lungs, your thymus gland, your vagus nerve, and actual heart. Your throat, thyroid, parathyroid, larynx, jaw, vagus nerve, branches, cervical fascia. Third eye, pineal gland, pituitary gland, hypothalamus, retina, which is going to be retina for your eyes, prefrontal cortex, crown, pituitary gland, cerebral cortex, cerebral spinal fluid flow, upper fascia lines. Based on, first of all, who do you think you actually are? Let's just answer these questions. So I'll start from left to right. All right. So let's just go back in like a review process of how I taught you guys this. First off, we're going to talk about inferiority, which is essentially how you are feeling inadequate, you are feeling small, you are feeling not enough, you are literally feeling like you aren't even in existence. You don't even have a right to be alive. That's inferiority. You have nothing. You have no value. And then superiority, which is the complete opposite, which is basically masking your inferiority. And what that says is, I'm better than you. This is competition and domination, because you can't actually go in front of someone and tell them the real you, because you're too afraid to be vulnerable. Inferiority, superiority, 2 sides of the same coin. So think about it like this. Every human being is born into the same paradox. So your body has infinite potential. Everyone has infinite potential. Do not look at somebody and say, that's a billionaire, that's a pro athlete, that's a professor, that's a scientist, that's a lawyer. You don't know. Anybody has the opportunity to be anybody that they want to be. I don't really give a fuck if somebody says, no, that's not possible. Well, look, take it up with the creator. That's all I got to tell you. Because you ain't got no right to tell somebody what they can or cannot do in this world. You have no right. So maybe you should stop looking at it like you're superior to somebody else, because you're not. Your brain ain't no better than nobody else's brain. You have the same exact hardware that everybody else got. How you use that hardware is up to you. But you have the same hardware that everybody else has. All people are programmed by childhood experiences. That's just how it works. Okay? Subconscious programming is from 0 to 7 years of age, essentially. It continues to go even after 7 years of age. But the main programs, software that's installed inside of your brain and your circuits and your habitual patterns comes from your surrounding areas, your culture, the people whom you deem as guardians, or people whom you deem that you respect. I'll put it like that. If you don't respect me, you won't listen to them. If you do respect me, listen to them. That's what happens. If you respect that person's voice or the person's mind or what they have, and most people have this other problem. They think if a person has a lot of money that they're intelligent. But that's not true. Most people who have a lot of wealth aren't very intelligent, which is how they got it in the first place. Because people who are too smart, too certified, stop themselves. That's why. So in the case of how Alfred Adler, this is who basically I made the philosophy of orgasmic power in the Alkalign Lifestyle Institute based on Adlerian psychology. And what he was saying was these two distortions, inferiority complex, superiority complex. You're also going to know about anger and fear, which I talked about last time. Those things are like poisons, and they poison your mind based on perception. You don't see the world correctly. So why do people withdraw? They become helpless. They become passive. They have this fear of failure. They deem themselves inferior. That's an inferiority complex. Complete opposite. Why do people have this competition? Everything's a competition. First place in everything. They have to dominate everything. And they have so much arrogance, superiority. It's as simple as concept of these two complexes. Now, they're both masks. They're an anxious attempt to find belonging in a world that feels uncertain. What does that mean? That means you're trying to control everything. That's what that means. And you can't. You can't control everything. So get over it. You're not the mayor. You're not the governor. You're not the president of the entire universe. If that's the case, then go check the 405. Make sure everybody get home safe tonight. Go check the 101. Make sure there's not one single accident on the 101 highway. Make sure everybody eats. Make sure there's no homelessness in the entire world. Make sure nobody's bombing somebody else and nobody's at war. You're the creator. You control everything, right? You don't control nothing but your own reactions, your own narration of your own story that you are writing for yourself. You don't control nobody else's story. So get over it. The best thing for you to do is understand universal law. Everything is changing at every moment in time, point in space. You don't own anything. So when you check out of here, nothing comes with you. Your house don't come with you. Your car don't come with you. Your dog don't come with you. Your bird doesn't come with you. Your cat doesn't come with you. Your kids don't come with you. Your spouse don't come with you. Your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your son, your daughter, they don't come with your ass. You transcend, you leave them here. That's the gift. The gift is cutting the cord, leaving it here. That's the gift. The gift is freeing yourself from what you think is yourself. That ain't you. Just think about it. Now, let's keep going, because you're going to learn about these right here. What we teach is the problem behaviors and how to solve them. People have problem behavior. It's not self-sabotage. What this really is, you don't know what you value in life. You didn't take enough time to write out your actual goals. You didn't take enough time to begin to steer your own ship, to drive your own vessel, to drive your own car. So what happens is people practice these mistaken goals. Now, Adler made 5 main mistaken goals. The Institute, I created the last 2 because I understood, based on modern society, how this is working based on social media, based on AI. And so I decided if I looked at it closely, these actually mimic the 7 chakras. So what I did was I organized each mistaken goal and attached it to each chakra. Now the problem with this is because your chakras got demons. You got problems of perception that lie in every region of these organs. These are called demons. If you read Anadea Judith's book, Eastern Body, Western Mind, she defines the demons of each chakra. You also understand inside the Bible they have what's called the 7 deadly sins. Now, this is the issue. The issue is that you have to figure out a way to look at life as a sexual experience, not where you're undressing yourself physically, performing intercourse with any and everything around. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that you have to have a level of surrender, and you have to be able to ground yourself enough to receive the pleasure of the excitation of a climax of a sexual act. That's what orgasmic potency is, defined by Wilhelm Reich. Sexual potency is your ability to perform a sexual act. Now, those two things, the ability to perform a sexual act and actually receiving the pleasure from a sexual act, you have to understand the bridge is the orgasm. So at every moment, you're always entangling and interfering your energy with something. I want you to look at this word. These words embed this inside your mind. I'll write down interference. And I'll define that shortly. Interference. And then you will have, on the opposite side, we will have entanglement. Interference is entanglement. You will realize that everyone around you is energy waves. Now, the first mistaken goal, attention seeking. Where does this begin? This begins at the root, meaning it begins in your colon, your pelvic floor, your legs, your adrenals, and your fascia lines. The mistaken goal of attention seeking starts here. But here's what distorts it, the demon. And the demon we're going to get into on each chakra level, fear. That's what distorts you from feeling grounded, fear. Now, you have got to find a way to get over this. We're going to give you a solution set by the end of this video. Power struggle. When you have a power struggle, you're in the sacral. The sacral and the bladder, the ovaries, the testes, the hips, the lower gut. I'm going to define the first three first and explain how this actually works. The demon on the sacral is going to be guilt. And then the next level will have revenge. That's going to be at the solar plexus, which is your liver, your gallbladder, your stomach, your diaphragm, your pancreas. And the demon is going to be shame. I want you to look at fear, guilt, and shame and understand. These three areas, centers of energy, they're all energy consumers. You need to have these three energy centers, these three areas, these areas of each organ, because these things process your food. They process and convert that food into energy. These are energy consumers. All three areas here. Now, realize this. Fear, guilt, and shame drive a whole lot of chaos in the world. And drive a whole lot of chaos inside your world. So if you're not looking at this, understanding that these mistaken goals, I want to be seen, I'm in a power struggle with another being, I was hurt, so I have to hurt somebody else. These are all you, reflections of you. Somehow, some way, you have this issue on the inside of you. We're going to keep going. Next one, display of inadequacy. This is learned helplessness. Brian Tracy, the business coach, he calls this learned helplessness, where people, they basically check out of life and they say what they can't do, what they're not going to do, they're not capable of doing, And this is because of the demon of grief. This is the area of the lungs, the thymus gland, the vagus nerve, and your actual heart. Let's keep going. You have next, proving superiority. This is the fifth mistaken goal, at the throat. And what's the demon? Lies. You are so afraid of telling the truth. You are so afraid of asking for help. You are so afraid of saying the words, I don't know. You think you're going to die by saying, I don't know. Somebody asks you a question, you think everything is a test. You've been to public school your entire life, so basically you grew up in testing. And it wasn't even testing. It was remembering information that somebody told you to recite back to them. And then if you got it wrong, they said that's the wrong answer. You didn't learn critical thinking. You don't even know how to solve problems. All you know how to do is memorize something and repeat it back. That's why public school is trash. Let's keep going. You have competition versus community. What does that mean? That means at your third eye, which is the area, which is the third eye. What is the demon of the third eye? It is illusion. I should say delusion, because you're delusional in a negative way. You can be positive delusional too, actually, and believe something's going to work out. It's going to work out. But in this case, you're negative delusional. And so this is going to be the area of the pineal gland, the pituitary, the hypothalamus, the retina, the prefrontal cortex. You have to decalcify this pineal gland. This is where you change from fluoride toothpaste to non-fluoride. This is where you begin your process of meditation. This is where you start to look at yourself and think about what you've been thinking about, the word metacognition. The last area, the last mistaken goal, approval seeking versus the courage to be disliked. This is going to be at the crown. What is this demon? This demon at the crown is your attachment. And the crown is at your pituitary gland, cerebral cortex, your cerebrospinal fluid flow, your upper fascial lines. These are the 7 mistaken goals that people suffer from. They are in everything. They're in every single thing around you. I'm going to explain to you how these are not just a psychological idea, okay? These are bioelectric patterns. They're patterns. They're patterns of thought, they're patterns of behavior, rooted in your 7 chakras, which are the 7 centers of energy, as described before, in these areas and these organs inside of your body. They govern how your body is functioning and the growth or distortion of your electromagnetic field. Now, think of your body as a bioelectric computer. Your body's electric, but it's bioelectric. Bio means life, so it's life electric. It needs to be fed life. It needs to be fed life. And that's what keeps it charged up, ready to go, functioning properly. The more life that you give it, that you feed it, whether it comes to growth, whether it comes to learning, whatever it is, the more that you feed it, the more energy that you get back. Now, your body is not just flesh and bone. So every thought, think about this. Every thoughts are what? Thoughts are things, first of all. So we're going to say thoughts. We'll look at thoughts as frequency. How many times you think about something, literally is a frequency you think about it. And in every emotion, let's look at emotion, and we're going to say emotion is going to equal waveform. Now, remember when I just wrote down this word interference and I had entanglement? The reason for that is because when something interferes with your energy, there's only 2 things that it can do. It can interfere constructively, where it's called constructive interference. That's called good vibes. Or it can interfere with you destructively. And that equals bad vibes. Now, learn this. When you have constructive interference, good vibes, like I just told you, that's providing you with more life. But destructive interference, bad vibes, oh no. Ain't no life in that. That's providing you with more death. So the foods that you eat, this can provide you good vibes, or it can provide you bad vibes. The beverages you drink, whether it's alcohol or whether it's the good, clean spring water, the people that you're around, whether they're complaining and blaming and shaming, or whether they're building, whether they're complimenting, whether they're teaching, holding you accountable. There's two different sides to everything. You want to be on the side of growth, of building. Now, every chakra, this area here, where you have each gland and organ that are functioning on behalf of each energy center. Each chakra is a transformer and a transmitter. What it does is it pulls energy from the environment. It pulls energy from your surrounding environment, from your surrounding area, to build and grow your bioelectric field or shrink your field. You want to have a huge field. The bigger, the larger your field is, you can walk all the way through and you don't have any obstruction because your field is so powerful. Things can't even come into your existence. You want to have a field that's impeccable, just like that. Now, what happens is it has to go through and pull the energy from the environment. It digests it, it radiates it back out into the environment, and it throws it back into the energetic ocean that everybody's in, because everybody's connected in a singularity. There is no separation. The system is fed. How is the system fed? So your system is fed by these things. Your system eats light. It also eats sound. It also eats frequency and vibration. That's why you can heal yourself simply by playing binaural beats in your headphones or vibrating on a vibrating plate, playing solfeggio sound frequencies at the level of each chakra. Matter of fact, I'll give you the numbers of each one. At the root, that's 296 hertz. At the sacral, that's 417 hertz. Solar plexus, which is probably the most common and also the most studied, 528 hertz. You also have 432 hertz, which is going to be the natural frequency that they say of the earth. Also the Schumann resonance. You have the heart at 639 hertz. You'll have the throat, 741 hertz. The third eye, 852 hertz. And you'll have the crown at 963 hertz. Now here's the cool thing about this. Each one of these numbers, if you add them together, so if I added 3 plus 9, that's 12, plus 6 is 18. 18 is just 1 plus 8, that's 9. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 7 is 12. 1 plus 2 is going to be 3. Then you're going to have 528, which is 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 8 is going to be 15. And then you're going to have 1 plus 5 is 6. So you're going to have 3, 6, and 9. 3, 6, and 9 are going to be the numbers for each one of these layers. If you add them all together, you get 3, 6, and 9. And you keep getting 3, 6, and 9 because that is the level of dimension that we are in at this key moment in time. 3, 6, and 9. But let's keep going. So your cells literally hum with energy. Your cells sing. Okay? So if you've ever heard screeching on a chalkboard, somebody takes a chalkboard, they put their fingers and they just go like this here, rip it all the way down. Or if you ever heard, say, a harmonious song pattern, like the birds chirping in the morning time. When you communicate in sonic patterns, what that is called sonocytology. It basically, a cell that's alive sounds like white noise. It just sounds like this. Boo. That's a cell that is alive and well, that is functioning properly. But then think of a cell that's sick, a cell that has a distortion in it. It sounds like static electricity. It sounds like static because there's no signal that's being received, being reciprocated. So if you have these traumas, like we talked about last time, these made up stories in your mind of fear or shame that are unresolved, your frequencies now become chaotic instead of harmonious. So the result of that is you have blocked chakras. These organs get blocked. Sexual energy, which is the key, is now distorted, so there's no energy flow through your entire body. And that is where you get the concept of energetic armoring. Armoring. You hold tight and contract it. Somebody can walk past you and just make you contract yourself. All of a sudden you're walking like this. You start to walk small, start to shrink yourself in the corner. Instead of just standing out with your chest out and your muscles out, just walking and your chest, your head up, everything. You're not doing that anymore because all of a sudden you're associating your environment with something that's unpleasurable. Now here is the other concept. The concept of armoring is a big concept because armor is chronic muscular tension. That's the way of your body freezing your said traumatic experience. And what that is because it has to protect your psyche. It's literally protecting your mind and your brain from drowning in pain and anguish that you're causing it. So it holds tight in the area of your fascia. It holds tight the narrative that you've given it. So your fascia, your tissues hold electricity. I'm not saying it's good electricity. I'm saying it's holding it. It's shrinking the field. So now, if you can see this based on excess deficiency, overuse, underuse, which means some people just don't get up. Some people sit down all day. The legs are underused, pelvic floor, their colon, their adrenals, which control every aspect of immunity, your adrenals. These are the control systems that tell you I'm safe, that get you into parasympathetic mode, that get you into rest and digest, that get the blood to go back to the visceral organs. This is the air. These are the concepts that you have to understand. If you can look at yourself and say, okay, I'm armored, but why am I armored? What's going on in my head that's got me to be like this? It's not just thought process. There's more to it than that. We're gonna describe how to transform at the end of this. Okay, so each character type. Let's talk about character types just for a moment. Each character type, a character structure. These are predictable body-mind patterns of posture, behavior, and addiction. Posture first. So you can have a superhero like this here. You can have this little peasant mode like this here. That's going to be your posture. You can have your behavior. Obviously, you'll be projecting out. You'll be exuberant. You'll be joyful. You'll be excited. You'll be passionate. Or you can behave badly. And badly can be different things in different people. And you can also have addiction. So there's several, but we're going to talk about the most common ones. So the most common ones, these are described in Judith's book, like I described Eastern Body, Western Mind. She describes each energy center as having a specific character structure. So at the root, she described it as the schizoid. That's the fragmented, the fearful, and addicted to isolation and stimulants. That's the person that goes to hide in the corner in the cave by themselves, drink the coffee, smoke the weed, try to go walk in the dark by themselves. They don't want anybody to see them because they feel so small and inferior, and literally they are disconnected from themselves. That's a schizoid character structure. Next up, at the sacral, you have the oral character structure. That's the manipulative person. That's the collapsed person. What are they addicted to? sugar, sex, alcohol. These are the late night. I mean late night. These are your promiscuous, or you wouldn't call them pimps, you can call them strippers, your sex workers, your prostitutes. These are the individuals that are suffering, and again, believe me when I say this, the power struggle is here. The first one, at the schizoid, seeking attention. The second one, which is the oral, is power struggle. Next, you have the endurer. What does the endurer do? The endurer, literally, that's what it means. That's the one that's tense, that's resentful, that's rigid. The people-pleasing person that does not ever say no, because you're enduring every mode of suffering. And that person's addicted to caffeine, to anger, to overwork. Because you're doing everybody else's job. I'm telling you, I know you know somebody like, you probably are that person. I was that person. Everyone has moments where they probably turn into different character structures, but you can see them all in your daily life. How about number 4? You have the rigid. This is going to be at the heart. This is the person that is over perfect. They have a closed chest. It's almost like they have a collapsed chest. And they're addicted to these romantic highs, like they're in a TV sitcom or in like a Disney movie or something damn near. They're going to go find Romeo or Cinderella or all this other kind of crap. That's the person. They think it all has to be some dramatic cycle. They're listening to a soap opera thinking that's how they draw out their life. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous highs and ridiculous lows. They don't even know how to think in an even, neutral perspective. You then have the hysteric. The hysteric is going to be at the throat. There's proven superiority. And what does that mean? That's the dramatic person, the overly expressive person. They're just high. Everything's big. Everything is this. Everything is, And what is that? That person's addicted to gossip, talking about others, talking down on others. Because why? They're proving superiority. Literally. Then you have at the end, which is the third eye and the crown combined, you have what's called the challenger and the defender. These are the mistrusting, the controlling, the approval seeking. They have to ask for permission to do anything in their life. They need a permission slip. They need a certificate to tell them it's okay for you to be yourself today. Every moment, they got to come to somebody to ask them how they feel about something. How do you feel about this? How does this look on me? How does this smell on me? How does this taste? How does this feel? They can't make any decision for themselves. And that's the person who is addicted to fantasy, addicted to spiritual bypassing. They have to go to the psychic, or they have to do the tarot readings. Everything has to come from the outside to tell them what the inside's already told them. But they have to find some way to verify it so that they can say, this is what told me, so that they can put the accountability on that thing. It doesn't come back to them. It goes to that thing. So then, each character type emerges at the body's attempt to survive problem behavior. So you're going to have these character types, the schizoid, the oral, the endurer, the rigid, the hysteric, the challenger, and the defender. All of them are attempting to survive these problem behaviors. But over time, the armor that you think is protecting you then becomes the prison in your head. That stops your energy from flowing. So now, here's where we're going to get to the good parts. At the core of every blocked chakra is sexual energy. That is the key. At the core. Now, again, I will make sure to reiterate this. Sexual energy is not just about intercourse. This is not what orgasmic power, the concept, is solely talking about. It is part of this, but it's mainly talking about a state of coherence. Okay? It is the raw creative current of life itself. You have got to understand that libido, at one point in time, was considered energy. That was considered energy. That was considered vitality. How you judge your vitality is based upon your libido. Now, when fear, when guilt, when shame, when grief, when lies, okay, when illusion, when attachment, armor your chakras, your orgasmic energy, your orgasmic power, your state of coherence, it cannot rise through. Okay? Now, at the root, what happens? At the root, this fear is going to block the feeling of safety. So what happens based upon orgasm? This is what we're going to speak on. Based upon an orgasm, say we're in a sexual relationship, we have our partnership, our husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. This is where you're going to have these sexless relationships. This is what's going on. You have the orgasm process at the root. It feels unsafe. Go back to these organs, the colon, your pelvic floor, your legs, your adrenals, your fascia lines. Orgasm will feel unsafe if these aren't taken care of, because this fear is distortion. How about at the sacral? Right there up next. Guilt is going to block your pleasure. And now your orgasm is going to feel shameful. Let's go back to what the sacral at. Your bladder, that's going to be your large intestine, small intestine. It's going to be your ovaries or your testes. Here's going to be your hips. You're going to be your lower gut. At these areas, these aren't taken care of. This is what happens in the case of orgasm. So you run from orgasm because you're looking at it as shameful. How about solar plexus? This is the area shame blocks surrender. Shame. You just watched this debate with Jillian Michaels talking to these 20 body positive ladies. I think it was last week or so. She's talking to these women and talking about shame. They're so adamant about shame. They don't understand that this area of shame, which I'll get into detail, okay, is blocking their surrender. So what is the problem? They feel like they're losing control. They want control back. That's the area of your liver, gallbladder, stomach, diaphragm, pancreas. Your liver, that's blood detoxification. You drink alcohol, that's a distortion that creates anger. Gallbladder, that's based upon your stomach acid. How about your stomach, your diaphragm? You should be breathing through here, not breathing through here, shallow breath. You should be breathing deeply through your diaphragm. And then you have the pancreas. Think about insulin sensitivity, type 2 diabetes. The pancreas. Pancreas is that. So let's keep going. You have the heart. The demon is going to be grief. And that creates a block to intimacy. Grief creates the block to intimacy. And then, based upon that block, your orgasms now feel lonely. These are all the reasons why, I'm telling you, all the reasons why you will see couples don't have sex. Okay, at the heart, which is the lungs, the thymus, the vagus nerve, and the actual heart. How about next up? The fifth, which is the throat, which is lies. Lies block expression. You can't even tell the truth. You don't know how to tell the truth. So your orgasms now feel muted. That's an area of your thyroid, your larynx, your jaw, vagus nerve branches, and your cervical fascia. You ever heard people who have tight jaws? I guarantee they have tight jaws literally because they can't even get out the orgasm. You ever had a quiet sexual experience? You ever thought about someone who gets sexually assaulted or someone who's, got their mouth covered, rape, things like that of that nature? Someone can't speak. They can't speak. It's a violation. They're too charged. Something's happening. How about next up, third eye? You have illusion. At the third eye, illusion blocks connection. Orgasms feel empty. The third eye, which is your pineal gland, pituitary, hypothalamus, your retina, prefrontal cortex. What are you seeing? Your eyes are attached to your brain. So you see with your brain, not with your eyes. Your eyes are just windows into the brain. How about the demon of attachment at the crown? This it blocks you from transcending because you don't want to leave something. You can't let it go. And because of that, you have an orgasm that feels conditional. So now it's like in the bedroom, because of your pituitary, your cerebral cortex, your spinal fluid flow, upper fascia lines, these things are distorted. You feel like you're a porno star. You're just going to work. There's no connection of any kind. Okay, so you can build the skill of creating an orgasm, but mainly it's because the skill is coherence. You're building the skill of creating coherence. Okay, so when your chakras are blocked by mistaken goals and armor, you have a blocked feedback cycle. You have a feedback cycle between thought, emotion, and your body. That's the orgasm that liberates your life force. Frees it. It frees up your life force. Okay, so let's get into detail about these demons. Now, again, every human being carries your 7 thresholds inside your body. I call them 7 gates because these gates open up essentially these areas of energy to flow and circle. So your energy flows like this. Energy flows, it will start and it'll just go like this. Tornado. So all the energy that's spinning in the universe is a spiral pattern. So these 7 gates where your biology, your psychology, your energy, your emotion, your consciousness, all these things intersect. So these gates are at the chakras. All right? And this is not some mystical thing. I don't speak like that. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you that these chakras are actual organs and glands. All right? They're like junctions, intersections, where your fascia, your organs, your nerves, your hormones, and your perceptions, they all collide together. They all combine at this area because your perception creates your biology of belief. When these centers of energy are open, okay, you can move through life with coherence. That's where you get your power from. Because your cells have to open. You have to open to life. Or they can remain closed off to life. Again, parasympathetic, rest and digest. Sympathetic, fight or flight. Which one is it? There's just 2 sides to the ANS. Okay? On our nervous system. When these centers become disrupted, this is when you have these demons that are born. And I'm not talking about monsters. I'm not talking about some like a dragon or a snake. I'm talking about little distortions. Okay? And what these things are like glitches in your nervous system. It's like a misfiring of interoception. And so if you can look at this and say, these things right here are changing how my reality feels. Because you look at life differently if you're scared, or if you're feeling guilty, or if you're feeling shameful. You see life differently. Okay? So once your perception, again, your belief is altered, the behavior then follows. All right? So now, this is where we're going to take this. An incoherent chakra does not just affect your mood. It literally distorts your entire world view. It changes how you see the world around you. Okay? So we're going to walk through each one of these. And we're going to do it we're going to just look at it from a logical perspective, but also as a connection of the human body. So how all these things are interchanging and how we're going to fix them. Okay, beginning at the root. You're saying, I am not safe in this world. You're saying, I'm not safe in this world. You're saying, I literally am not being seen, and you're seeking attention because you don't think that you're safe immediately. It's fear. What is fear? Fear is the oldest demon because it's in the oldest part of you. Your colon, your pelvic floor, your legs, your adrenals, okay, your fascia lines. They keep you standing upright on earth. This is literally you standing upright. You beginning to stand up and power yourself through. This is why you have got to work out and train your legs and posterior chain. The best thing for you to do is a body squat. Best thing for you to do is go get in the gym, get some weights, go do a deadlift. Squats are the best thing. It's literally just you lifting yourself up off the ground. It's probably the most powerful thing. It's challenging, especially if you haven't been doing them. But it builds you. It builds your legs. You've got to get up and train your legs. So a person whose root is distorted, they don't simply feel afraid, okay? Their interoception, again, this is how you're supposed to read a dashboard. Your blood pressure, your breathing, your blood sugar. These things that are happening behind the scenes, they have a dashboard. And so you need to know how you feel. If you don't know how you feel, it's because you're racing through life. If you can't quiet your mind down and sit there still with yourself to see how you really feel and why you feel that way, that's what interoception actually is. People are just driving themselves and they just keep going. They don't stop. They don't make time for metacognition, which is essentially meditation. Becoming familiar with yourself and what you think. If you don't make time for these things, you have no level of awareness. So how can you change something that you don't know is there to change? It's a problem. Okay? So your body's telling you that the world is dangerous. Nothing's wrong with the world. Something's wrong with you. All right? It's groundlessness that you feel. And there goes back to this attention. And think about this. Catch a flashback to when you were a child and you were afraid as a child. You weren't seeking chaos because you were looking for entertainment. You were looking for things, people to smile at you or give you some positive feedback. It's like you're seeking it because that's what feels familiar. And so people have to look at it from, yes, this is a childhood thing. These things happened then. You have to understand it now because now you're basically walking through life as a 30-year-old, 6-year-old. You're 30 years old on paper, but your behavior is like 6 years old or 5 years old. People are behaving so petty. They react in these childlike behaviors because they are not aware of their own behaviors. So fear makes your nervous system hypersensitive. You begin to breathe shallow, and what happens to your fascia is your fascia begins to tense up and it begins to get coiled like a spring. So now it's like you're doing this like you're about to sprint or you're about to jump. But once fear replaces stability, you don't have a universal law of attraction. It doesn't work. And that's the universal law at the root, attraction. So that law collapses. Now you don't magnetize what you want. And let me tell you this, you're always manifesting something. You're always manifesting something. People just don't know what they're manifesting because they don't pay attention to what they're thinking about. Now, if you pay attention to what you're thinking about, all of a sudden when you're walking around through life, you realize that at every moment you are drawing something in. Your thought, which is the frequency, sends the signal out. How you feel based on energy and motion, the waveform, is drawing that signal back to you. You are the broadcasting station and the receiving set for your patterns of thought. So, if you ever heard Earl Nightingale, he talks about this all the time, and he has a record, a audio recording where he says imagination is everything. But you got to realize, if you don't know what you've been thinking about, you don't know what you've been imagining. And you created it. Don't think of this by accident. There's no accident. No. You had your mind on that the entire time. Okay? So the person's unconsciously pulling toward them what matches their internal frequency. Unconsciously, you're doing it. And so now that means you'll have scarcity, instability, unsafe people, chaotic relationships. There's your answer. As in terms of why I don't have any money, scarcity. How about instability? Why I don't feel like I'm secure? How about unsafe people? Keep drawing in assholes in terms of relationships. That's just how this starts to work out. And it's all because you're not paying attention at the root. So people raised in fear often end up in relationships or environments that recreate their fear. If you were raised in a place of fear, you're raised in Section 8, you're raised in the hood, if you're raised by gang violence and drive-bys and shit like that, I guarantee that you're going to go into the same places because you are a product of that environment. What I'm expressing to you is that you can change it. You have a choice to change it. Make the choice to change it. No matter how hard it may be, stick it out. Now, it's not even that you're cursed, that you deserve that. It's literally just that's the repetitive pattern, habitual pattern that you are creating for yourself. It's like the glitching, these demons. All right? Chaos literally starts to feel like home, but you don't want that to be the home. That's the demon of the root chakra. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is going to be this demon of guilt at the sacral. Now, these organs at the sacral govern your pleasure and how you receive pleasure through your life itself. Your bladder, reproductive organs, hips, lower gut. When this center is collapsed, you now do not believe in your own desires. Now, guilt is, now look, I'm not very religious at all. I have no attachment to religion anymore. I grew up Catholic. I'm spiritual now because I looked at this from a different perspective where I just stopped separating myself, thinking I have to walk around and feel like I have to abide by laws or rules that don't actually make sense. I question everything. Start to see what actually really makes sense and what really works and how this thing is really moving. I changed how I looked at it. Okay, and so now, think about this. Guilt, again, is not about morality. It's not. It is an energetic expression that tells the brain that you wanting something hurts. You wanting something hurts other people. So now your pleasure becomes dangerous. So why would you want to do something if it's going to hurt somebody else? I feel so guilty because I want to have a big house on the hill, and I feel so guilty because I want to be a billionaire, and I feel so guilty. You start talking all soft and crazy, and fuck them. Go get what you asked for. You want something big, go get it. If they want it, they would ask for it too. You asking for something does not stop somebody else from getting something else. There's not just one little ass pie that says, if I take 3/4 of this pie, nobody else can eat. They can go get their own pie. Did you know that? There's infinite amounts of pie. The pie is not just fucking big. The pie is not 12 dozen. The pie is huge and it's infinite and it goes on and on and on forever. You're going to an ocean. The ocean continues to recycle and reset itself. Stop going to the ocean with a fucking 8-ounce cup. Go to the ocean with a damn trash can or a fucking huge ass bucket. Go ask the ocean for whatever you desire from the ocean. But you're too afraid. You feel so awful. You feel so guilty because you think it's going to hurt somebody else. That's not how it works. If they wanted it, they would ask for it. They don't want it. So you want it, ask for it. You're going to get what you ask for. You're going to get it. But ask without hidden motive. It ain't asking you shall receive. It's ask without hidden motive and be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by what you desire. Let your gladness be full. People are literally afraid to walk around with a smile on their face because everybody around them is so goddamn sad all the fucking time. They want to be miserable all the time and wake up on the wrong side of the fucking bed all the time. Glass half empty people. Get away from people who have a glass half empty perspective. Go find people who have a glass half full. And you can drink the water in that damn glass and put more water back in the glass. Now, this is where you get this power struggle. And the power struggle is not domination. It is a distorted attempt to control the environment so desire does not get out of hand. That's why whenever you go to your lady, you say, I want to be physically intimate. And she's like, nah, hey, I'm good. Or your partner, the man, he's like, nah, I'm too tired. A person controlled by guilt tries to manage people, emotions, outcomes, or themselves because they do not trust their own impulses. There you go with the cheaters and shit. You're doing something. That's why you feel guilty. Or you're not doing something. That's why you feel guilty. Now, what is the universal law at the sacral? It's polarity. So the law of polarity, which basically says positive and negative, you got two sides, that collapses the law of polarity. So you're supposed to have desire, which is literally the opposite of fear. The sacral demon convinces the person that wanting and shame belong together. Somehow you just attach this wanting is shameful for me to want something. And so now you're oscillating between indulgence, overindulgence, and repression. Between like craving and feeling guilty. Between attraction and self-punishment. You're just going from one side to the next side. Law of polarity. You're just fucking it up. So now you have sexual promiscuity from individuals who say, well, I need to have power over something, control over something. There's where you get your porno stars. There's where you get your strippers and your pimps. It's bullshit. It's all because of literally a distortion in how someone is thinking. Sexual shutdown and sexual promiscuity come from the same wound. They're both attempting to escape guilt. Let's keep going. Solar plexus. This is shame. This is where you saw the Jillian Michaels debate. Most of these women, if not all of them, and men, were struggling with this concept of I am not enough. Shame. Now, these are the organs of identity. This is your liver, gallbladder, stomach, diaphragm, pancreas. These things that create the fire inside you to go do things out in the world. Shame is not emotional, it's biochemical. Biochemical. It tightens the diaphragm. So when you feel shame, you will feel it inside your stomach immediately. It blocks oxygen flow, throws off glucose regulation, and signals your amygdala, which you do not want leading the field inside your brain, but it signals it. And all of a sudden, it tells your amygdala to now take control of the vessel instead of the prefrontal cortex, which is your conscious mind. Now you're in a fear-based mind, walking through life through a lens of a fear-based mind. And now it's saying something is inherently wrong with yourself. So here's the mistaken goal of revenge. What does this do? It's not always aggressive revenge, fighting, stabbing somebody, shooting somebody. Eye for an eye. It's not always like that. Sometimes it's the quiet revenge of self-sabotaging behavior. You fuck yourself up. You think that by harming yourself, you're going to get back at somebody else. You think that by distorting what you eat, not eating, harming yourself in that regard, starving yourself, people pay attention to you. You think that by hurting yourself, cutting yourself, you're going to now harm somebody else. You're angry. So you're doing it because you're mad. You're trying to get somebody back. You're basically saying, if I'm unworthy, I'm going to prove it to you that I'm unworthy. That's why. That's really why. You can ask me. I've had it. I've had people have suicidal watches. I've had partners attempt to harm themselves. Why are you so angry? Who are you trying to get back at? Why is it coming at me? I want you to think about that. Eating disorders. What are they really? It's going to make sense to you when you think about these deeper questions that people did not come to you to tell you to ask you or to ask yourself. Because you will hurt yourself before life can hurt you. You don't want to go outside the front door. You'll hurt yourself before life can hurt you. How about when shame dominates? Shame dominates you. What's the universal law at the plexus? Literally, the universal law is cause and effect. That collapses and that breaks. So now the person can no longer see how their choices created their outcomes. So now you have zero accountability. It is never your fault. Nothing, you didn't do anything to cause anything. You didn't do nothing wrong. It was all by accident. It was the government's fault. It's my mama's fault, my daddy's fault, my husband's fault, my wife's fault, my ex-husband's fault, my ex-wife's fault, my girlfriend's fault, my boyfriend's fault. You just finding people. If it ain't that person dies tomorrow, it's going to be somebody else. It's an avoidance of the mirror. You ain't going to look for no cause, even though you are the cause of your effects. The person cannot see. And so because shame convinces them that the outcome was predetermined, somebody was out to get your ass. That's why you got fired. That's why you got cut from the team. I was, for years, about 3 or 4 years, I was pushing myself physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. I was like, I'm going to make it to the NBA. I'm going to go play. I'm doing this. And I was training my ass up. And I'll tell you, I was pretty much in the door there. And then I realized it's not what I wanted to do. But prior, I was like, nah, they ain't picking me up because, it was such and such fault. And they, it's politics. And fuck all that. Nah, man. It's your attitude. Buckets or not, I'm getting skills or not. It's your energy. It's your energy. So what shame also does is it creates superiority. That's the puffed chest person. That's the person with the, again, lifted truck syndrome, inflated ego. You have a desperate posturing. It's like, it's not confidence. It's armor shielding a collapsing solar plexus. It's armor shielding the shame. Okay? So now you lose your sense of agency. And this is the demon, I'm going to tell you right now, that ruins careers. It ruins marriages. It ruins dreams. It's not psychological. It's just, again, interoceptive distortion of the identity center. Keep going. Heart. You have the heart. Grief. I cannot risk opening anything. When your heart constricts, your organs of rhythm constrict. The heart itself, the lungs, the thymus, the vagus nerve. Grief does this. Grief freezes emotional breath. So now you're breathing like this here. You're panting the entire time. Okay? And this is where the way physical breath is held during pain. Whenever you're hurting, if you get cut, if you get hurt, if you sprain your ankle bad, or you tear up your knees, whatever, you're gonna start this no breath, no more deep breathing. A person trapped in a heart demon of grief, they literally do not love cautiously. They love in self-protection mode. So you're just trying to give increments because you're trying to protect yourself so much. So this is what births inadequacy. This is what creates inadequacy. Because all of a sudden, it's not unworthiness. It's literally you saying, I cannot give anything. I don't have anything to give. I don't have any love to give. Because love is a verb. I'm not going to do this. I don't have any ability to love this person, or I'm not doing it. So now you can't receive it. So you can't thrive. You're too fragile for love. So grief breaks what? What's the universal law? Rhythm at the heart. Your heart rhythm. In order to manifest something, you have got to change your heart rhythm. You must change your vibration. So instead of moving with the cycles, opening and closing, inhale, exhale, giving, receiving, the person starts to flatline. You just become this, like this here. You're dead. You're a dead person. Void of anything. You're void of everything. And so now you avoid the highs to avoid the lows. Now you can't do this ebb and flow. So in avoiding both, you lose intimacy entirely. And here's interoception becomes inaccurate again, because the heart cannot sense it is safe. It can't distinguish from affection from threats. So now you don't know. It's you. You don't know what's real. You listen to people's voices instead of how you feel, because that's what vibration is. How you feel. How do they make you feel? Constructive interference, good vibes. Destructive interference, bad vibes. You don't have no feeling. So now, what happens then, you cannot detect someone being sincere. And then it begins projecting pain where none exists. That's the demon that destroys relationships long before behavior ever does. This is where the marriages die. They die here. You need to open your heart. But this is what it takes. It takes you sitting down quietly. It takes you finding out what you've been thinking about. Let's go to the throat. Lies. Lies. Okay? My truth will cost me everything. I'm telling you, this is the number one in business, even in partnership. Okay? The throat demon is born when a person's voice has been punished, it's been ignored, it's been weaponized. When you told what you felt was the truth, all of a sudden you got smacked for it, you got punched for it, you got ridiculed for it, you got embarrassed, you felt bad. So biologically, what happens? The thyroid, the larynx, the vagus nerve, branches in your cervical fascia. All of a sudden, these start to tense up. Here's where this armoring just keeps going up. A person ruled by this demon, what happens to them? They do not simply lie to other people, they lie to themselves. You are the only person that has heard every lie that you've told in your lifetime. Is you. I'm going to get up tomorrow. I'm going to go run 5 miles. I'm going to go to the gym starting tomorrow. I'm going to have this new training program. I'm going to go 3 times a week. Next week come, you ain't got off the couch not one time. I'm going to make this phone call. I'm going to go ask this girl on a date. I'm going to ask this guy on a date. I'm going to go quit this job and go get a better job. Whatever you told yourself you was going to do, and you didn't fucking do it. You coward ass fucking coward. Yes, it's subconscious. Fine. So what? Do you want the shit or not? Ask yourself, will you pay the price to get what you're asking for? Because there's going to be a price that you got to pay. If you ain't going to pay the price, don't ask for it. Don't sit there in the corner crying because you didn't fucking go get it. Don't continue to affirm something that you know damn well you won't get your ass up to go fucking pursue. You have to meet it halfway. It will give it to you, but you better go meet it halfway. A person, again, they minimize their own needs, they hide their desires, they suppress their emotions, and they eventually forget their own truth. This is where you get the goal of, you can say, proving superiority through avoidance. You're proving superiority. Somehow, you just gonna turn the blind. I don't need to do all that. I ain't gotta do that. That doesn't qualify for me. No, it qualifies for you. Yeah. You still gotta pay the price. It's not laziness, not lack of ambition. Okay? This is the fear. That's the fear. You're masking. I told you about inferiority. You're masking your own inferiority. Taking action will expose the self to judgment. And I don't want to be exposed to judgment because I think I'm big and bad. So somebody tells me I'm not, I'm going to start crying in the corner. Somebody tells me I'm not as fast as I think I am. I can't jump as high as I think I could. I can't process information as fast as I'm not as smart as I think I am. I'm not as rich as I think I am. I don't want to go into this room because I got to be the biggest fish in the fucking sea. But the sea's bigger than you in a little pond. You in a little fucking fish bowl. I'm the biggest fish in the fish bowl. But if I go to the ocean, I'm just gonna be one of the crowd. I ain't gonna be the biggest no more. Proven superiority. When your throat collapses, the universal law, which is at this chakra, vibration, collapses. Now, what you say is what you're going to create. So be careful how you say things. Because what you say, what you're going to create. So speech no longer carries power when you do this. It's muted. And so then your words lose frequency. Your affirmations lose effectiveness because you're just telling yourself some bullshit. I'm going to get up tomorrow to go running. Your body's like, no, you're not. Sit your ass down. I don't believe you. And your mind's supposed to be the control center to tell your body what you're supposed to do. Your body's telling you, fuck you. It doesn't believe your ass. Because you ain't done nothing. You just lie. You don't have any boundaries set with yourself to honor yourself as your word. Communication begins to fracture because who's going to trust you if you don't trust you? Trying to demand respect, you don't respect yourself. It fractures internally and externally, both internally, externally. And a person whose throat is closed cannot speak their destiny into existence. You can't say a damn thing. You damn sure can't be no keynote speaker. Can't teach anybody anything. It's all because, again, interoception, no longer trust your own voice. Stop lying. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Let that be it. Last two. We got third eye. The third eye. Here's I cannot trust what I am perceiving. Here goes the illusion. There goes the illusion. Okay? So the demon, again, distorts the perception of self and of others and of reality. It's literally the organs of the pineal gland, again, pituitary, hypothalamus, the retina, prefrontal cortex. And when this demon activates this illusion, all of a sudden, you lose the ability to interpret interoception, which is how you feel, accurately. So now fear feels like intuition. Oh, but my gut told me, yeah, but you should have did that shit. You should have took the opportunity and stop being scary. And all of a sudden, you decided again, anxiety felt like a warning. No, hell no. No, don't listen to that coward shit again. Lust feels like love. Ass and titties, chasing, going to the fucking strip club. That's not love. That's just lust. You don't love that person. You're attracted to them aesthetically. Okay, great. They look good physically. Great. Chemistry feels like compatibility. Oh yeah. Yeah, we like the same things. Everything is perfect. Hell no. You're playing yourself. What is trauma reenactment? Destiny. You start to recycle your past, create the same things over and over again. Do you not know that any experience based on emotion, your emotions only cycle through your body for 90 seconds. 90 seconds is the time that you feel something from an event. 90 seconds, a minute and a half. After a minute and a half, you're making it up. This is research proven. After 90 seconds, that loop is gone. You just brought it back. And you just keep bringing it back over and over again. So now your past becomes your present, that becomes your future. It becomes your now. So this demon bursts the mistaken goal, literally, of competition versus community. Because you're escaping community to now start to compete with somebody. It's not physical. It's perceptual. Now you're going into fantasy, into projection. You're just going to sit there daydreaming the entire time, disassociating from everything that you see as real, because you have to look at the person with a distortion in order to compete with them, not think that they're your teammate or they're your friend. Again, third eye collapses, what happens? The universal law of correspondence collapses. You don't have af within, so without. It doesn't function that way anymore because the internal world is now distorted. The person begins attracting mirrors of your own confusion. You start getting people who are the same as you. That's how this works. Correspondence tells you how you're being. You got people coming to you who don't have a sense of direction. You don't have a sense of direction. People who are promiscuous, you are promiscuous. People who are insecure, you are insecure. They're mirroring. This is how this works. This is how the perspective of assimilation works. You are, again, the broadcasting station and the receiving set for the vibrations of thought. So now, the person attracts these mirrors and they see the world not as it is, as your nervous system is. Lastly, the crown. I need something outside of myself to approve me being myself, to complete me. This is awful, because here's where you lose your uniqueness and authenticity. This demon is not some disconnection from everything. It's not how it is. It's not saying I'm not a divine being. It's not that. It's just over attachment to what you subbed in place of it. Addictions, obsessions with other people, hero worshiping, codependencies, spiritual bypassing. These are all crown distortions. The organs: pituitary gland, cerebral cortex, cerebral spinal fluid flow, upper fascia lines. What happens here? You now have the mistaken goal again of approval seeking versus the courage to be disliked. And this is literally you negating being who you are supposed to be because you have the fear of people's judgment coming to you. So you rather ask somebody for approval to do what you want to do, say what you want to say, be how you want to be, live how you want to live, because you're too afraid to just go do it. What if they comment? What if they don't like my video? What if they don't like my post? Who gives a fuck? Post it again tomorrow. Shit. I'm telling you, they don't like my diet. They don't like my clothes. They don't like my hair. They don't like my muscles. My muscles aren't big enough. They don't like my legs. Man, the fuck, you don't get the fuck out of here. Like, look, just think about how stupid that is. You're always gonna be living, looking at left or right to see if somebody's clapping for you or smiling or celebrating you. That's awful. They ain't gonna celebrate you every time. They're gonna hate you. Most great people, they can't stand them. Just giving you a heads up. So nothing is more fragile in this world than a person who must convince the world that they are to be liked, trying to be liked. When the crown collapses, you have the universal law of what? Of one, divine oneness. That collapses. The person feels cosmically alone. Everything is conditional, transactional, relationship-wise. You have no meaning. You can't see purpose in suffering. You can't see purpose in anything. You can't see purpose in coherence. And now this demon destroys destiny, your destination, because you don't take it. You don't walk the destination because you're too afraid. You're too afraid who's going to meet you on the other end, or who's going to be telling you to turn around while you're walking. Now you have surrender, control, humility with ego, and an intuition with ideology. It's awful. So let me explain how this thing really works again. What happens in this case is this person's not suffering from all of these problems. They're suffering from the collapses expressed in 7 different ways. These are the collapses expressed in 7 different ways. How your sexual energy gets collapsed and expressed in a different way. The demon. This is the energetic distortion, the mistaken goal, the behavioral distortion, the universal law violation, like I said, attention, rhythm, cause and effect, polarity. Then you have the chakra, anatomical distortion. Then you have the interoception glitch, the neurological distortion. Then you have the fascia tension, where you're tensing up, structural distortion. Then you have the belief, psychological distortion. Then you have the destiny shift. You're not taking the pathway you're supposed to take, quantum distortion. All distortions. When any one of these collapse, all of them collapse. One chip falls, all of them fall. A person with a closed heart does not just feel numb, they violate the rhythm, the law of rhythm, adopt the mistaken goal of inadequacy. They develop the demon of grief, collapse interoceptive accuracy. They shift all these different patterns because the heart's supposed to be where you meet positive and negative. This is where you get positive and negative health at the same time. Okay? And this is what happens at this heart. Again, shift hormonal rhythms, constrict your fascia, attract emotionally unavailable partners. When you have this closed heart, you sabotage your own intimacy, then you call the entire cycle, you call it trauma. It's not trauma. It didn't create the collapse. Incoherence created the trauma, which was a mistaken goal that you wanted to recreate. There's your loop cycle. Now here's where this comes in. Breath, goes to fascia, goes to organs, then hormones, interoception, then chakras, then biofield, then consciousness, back to breath. All of that just happened in that span right there. That loop is how your body maintains a level of coherence. That loop is how you literally attract your destiny. That loop is how the universe speaks to you through your sensation. That loop right there is how the body becomes a conscious instrument. You're tuning yourself. You're the tuning fork. Now, the last thing, the cycle of transformation. You have 5 steps. The first step, you must detoxify yourself. What is this going to do for you? This is going to pause your thinking. When you cleanse yourself, and I suggest the best herb for you to cleanse at this vagus nerve, hyssop. Hyssop, burdock root, dandelion root, things that can cleanse trifala, cascara, things that cleanse the gut. Things that cleanse the first 3 energy centers. Wormwood, because most people are full of parasites from their bad diet and also from their bad energy. Cleansing your system changes your thought pattern. Stops your old patterns, creates a space for you to create a new loop cycle. Then you have to regulate yourself. This means you must breathe properly. Box breathing when you get up in the morning. Don't turn on your cell phone. Go to sleep without the cell phone. Get up and regulate yourself. Take some time to yourself. Because you have got to understand, by not rushing out too quickly, by calming yourself before you go into the world, you walk in a calm pathway. Awareness, metacognition. This is meditation. You must become familiar with yourself and what you're thinking. Play some binaural beats. Go to YouTube. There's meditations everywhere. Just type something in. How do you feel? Money, abundance, whatever you want to feel. Feeling good, feeling safe, feeling secure, whatever it is. And also reprogramming overnight. Take out your voice recorder app. Record, write down 300 things that you want from God. Speak it in present tense. I have. I earn. I live. And be definite. And be detailed. Don't say I live in a big house. I live in 4652 Sea Breeze Street, something like that. I don't know. You just but write it down in definite detail so that you can understand. Your mind has to go get it whenever you get up in the morning. That's how you reprogram yourself overnight, subconsciously. Then you create a cycle of coherence and creation. This is overall how you're going to create a brand new orgasmic power loop. And this is how you're going to create the entire thing. So yeah. So all of a sudden, once you go through the entire process, sexual energy now becomes the key. And you now free yourself. You free yourself. And now you become whole again. This video helped you. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. And that's pretty much it. Until next time. Peace.